What's the date of your birth?
August the 5th, 1925.
Do you remember December 7th, 1941? Pearl Harbor?
Yes, I do.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
We got the word over the radio. Over the radio back in 41.
Do you remember how the reaction of your family? Were they concerned?
A little bit concerned, yes, about that, and that, of course, I was still in high school. And I graduated from Fredonia in 42 when I was 16.
Right.
And then come August I was 17, and then I was too young to go in the service, so I took it. We had moved since then up on Webster Road outside of Fredonia, and I took a post-grad course at Brockton Central, and then when I left there, and then when I became 18, I enlisted in the Navy.
Enlisted in the Navy, and where did you go for basic training?
Sampson Air Force, Sampson, New York.
And you were there at Sampson. How long were you there for?
I was there from September till after the first of the year.
Did you get a sense that while you're doing the basic training, was there that they were training you for something specific, or?
In a way, yes, and in another way, no. They're just at that time, I really didn't know what. I had an idea what I wanted to go into, which was into mechanics. They sent me to Boston, Massachusetts for a course at the Wentworth Institute. I was there for about 3 months, and then from there they sent me to Richmond, Virginia, where I was studying diesel engines on small boats. I was a motor machinist mate, as they call it.
Was that something that you had learned on the farm? Was that something you liked to tinker with?
Yes. I always did, and while on the farm, of course, with the tractor and the trucks and that, I fooled around with them quite a bit. And I had a sort of an inkling on what to do and how to do it and when to do it. And from Richmond, Virginia, I went all the way across the United States to into California, where I was there, and then I was shipped out up into the Asiatic Pacific up there, and I was put on an island called ADEC.
Tell me about that. I've heard a little bit about ADEC. What was its principal reason for being?
Well, the reason for being was that we started to gather the fleet into ADEC. The fleet started gathering there to hit Japan from the north, when that was one of the main reasons. And I was trained to be in the small boat for landing craft and that. And I was on there.
To get up on the deck and...
No artillery training at all.
Really?
It was all, I was an engineer, and my job was below decks, and I didn't know what was going on above deck, so there I was.
So when you had R&R, what did you guys do?
Well, we used to play ball and that, have a ball game going, and of course we used to buy a drink now and then. And the first page on that book there's a picture there of some of the guys, some about that I was with.
Well, I see a picture here with you with the ball gloves.
Right.
And also just happened to have a picture of you with a a lady in your lap, I suspect.
Yeah, that was
Actually, looking again a little much more closely, and it's two of them.
that was a joke.
Actually, when you go to the second section,
Don't even bother with that second. We were just fooling around in that with that.
Sure.
Having a
My dad was in the Navy. Come on, dude.
Was it?
You can only do so much here.
Well, I agree with you on that. Yeah. He was a friend of all of us. He was a guy.
That's the
dressed up as a.
Oh, even better! You fooled me.
He dressed up as
those
a.
are guys dressed up.
Dressed up as a girl.
That's how their hula skirts and all that stuff.
You got me.
Yeah.
You got me. Oh, that's fabulous. Oh, we're going to use this. We'll use this in the film.
Oh.
That means you've been on the island a long time.
Yeah.
Did you go out into the Pacific there at all?
Oh yes, we used to. I was on a.
USS PC 793.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Well, we call it a picket boat. It's a twin engine job, and we would go out and we used to, when the fleet was in, we would run out and bring him back in the crew and that so they could come ashore, and that we used to use it for what would you say, just to go pick someone up and bring them back, and then when they're done, bring them to shore, and then when it was time, when we'd run them back to their ship again, and that. Was
there a large number when you picked them up, or just 2 or 3 people, or what?
Oh, there was quite a few. Yeah. Quite a few. We was maybe sometimes it'd be 15, 20, or 30 aboard our boat, our craft, and we'd come in.
Now, were they coming from battle, or were they going to battle?
Getting ready to go to battle.
Okay. So you never saw any troops that had come back from anything like that? Do you get a sense in talking to the troops about how they felt? Did they have any fear factor? Because they're ultimately going to where the action is, the islands, you know?
They just talked like ordinary. Everybody just, hey, we got to do it, we got to do it.
What was your rank there?
I was a motor machinist, made second class.
Okay. When Franklin Roosevelt died in 1945, do you remember hearing that on the base and what the reaction was?
Yes, I heard it on the base, and of course, we run the flag at half-mast, and we all had an hour, or had a minute of silence in that.
And then fast forward on August 8th, 1945, you get word, I suspect, that Japan surrendered. What was that like on the base?
Oh boy. It was one of the biggest things that ever happened to us. We all just, the bar was open and everybody was celebrating. So that's that one picture that you see there was over the 4 of us. That was part of it. The skipper says there's an important announcement coming over the PA system. Everybody be quiet, and then pretty soon, and everyone, after it was over, well, everybody, hurrah, hurrah, you know.
Wow.
Well,
well. I can't imagine. And letters, did that come periodically? How did that work?
They came pretty periodically, yes. In fact, the only one from my house that wrote to me, of course, my father was a little bit disturbed because I went in the Navy. He wanted me in the Army.
Okay.
And it was my sister Florence, and she was the one that communicated with me back and forth all the time. And maybe once, twice a week we'd get mail or whatever, whenever it was, so in that. And then whenever I wrote back, if I wrote back stuff I wasn't supposed to write back, why, she'd write and say, "How come your letter was full of holes?" I said, "Well, I wasn't supposed to tell you what it was." Because I was out in 46, 43 to 46.
So when you came back in 46, do you remember the reunion when you finally walk in the house and there's your family and how they picked you up? Do you remember that reunion?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't any.
No?
Not much. Just a hello and I'm glad you're back and that.
There's one incident Dewey will not forget. He had an issue with a shipmate who was known by everyone as the Oil King. What's that story?
Well, he was in charge of the Oil King. We called him that because he was more or less to make sure that the engines had oil in them. And so one day it came about that we had inspection aboard ship, and I told him, I says, look, I says, everybody, we're getting ready to clean up this engine room. I said, let's get it cleaned up because we're going to have inspection and that. And he says, well, I'm not going to. I said, why not? I'm the Oil King. I says, well, Oil King, I said, you're going to be dethroned. So the skipper of the ship there was from Cleveland, Ohio, and so we were called neighbors. And so he says, I said, go ahead. So the skipper says, what's this I hear about you and your man here? I said, well, I said, we was going to clean up the engine room. I says, and I asked him to help, and he said he wasn't, that he was the Oil King. The skipper says he was. Yeah. I says, so I told him, now he put him on nights. I says, on the one shift we called it there was from say midnight till 4 in the morning. And he says, so the kid said he wasn't going to do it. And the skipper looked at him and he says, well, he says, he told you that you were going to go on that for a while, so I guess you are. So he did. He went on, they get him up at midnight, and then he'd go to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. So he didn't get much rest, and that ended him as being Oil King. It was just one other one there aboard ship. Why, we come into dock one day, and the ship, no reverse, couldn't stop. So we finally got it, and I was in the engine room there, and the skipper calls down. He says, what's the problem? I says, I don't know. I said, right now I'm offhand. He says, what? He said, I haven't got nothing. I said, well, you put it in reverse. I said, everything is working good here. So when we come into the dock, why, aboard the ship, they had these special engines aboard this one ship, so we could get up on our ship, we could get up to 40 knots and an hour. And so what happens was that I could not do anything with the motors. That was my orders, because the motors came out of Chicago. So they wire Chicago. They send a guy all the way from there, all the way up to ADEC. He comes aboard ship. So we're all down in the engine room. And the exec officer didn't like me too well. And so we're standing there, so the guy is up there looking all around it, looking all around the thing and all this and that, and he checking everything. He said, I can't find nothing wrong. And I started to say something. The exec said, well, keep your mouth shut. He said, he's talking. I said, okay, sir. So after a while, then pretty soon the guy said, I'm sorry, he said, but you must have sent me here for nothing. So there's the exec there, he says, this guy here thinks he knows so much about it. And I says, well, I said, what drives this ship? I says, well, there's 2 screws. I said, well, what makes them go? I said, is it like a fluid drive or something like that? And the guy up there, he slaps his head and he said, "Oh my God, I forgot to check that." Well, we checked that and we was low on fluid, so filled her back up with fluid, and amen.
This guy came all the way out there, right, guys?
Yeah, just for that.
You're recently honored at the parade here in Fredonia as a World War II veteran, and people applaud. You know, what's your sense of service here? You know, World War II and its legacy from your perspective.
Well, it's a great honor. It's a great honor to be it, but sometimes I don't think I deserve it. But I did my best to bring around the peace that we have today and that. So, but I was real honored when they asked me to more or less lead the parade and that. So, but a lot of times words fail me and I don't know what to say. So, and that. But I really felt honored, and it was to me it was to know that someone is really accepting us veterans as we really are, and that. So.
Well, we salute you and we thank you for your service. And
yeah.